Well, if you thought that last week's lessons were hard, well, guess what? It just keeps getting a little tougher. All right, and today we work on multiplying and dividing. So we worked on adding and subtracting fractions. Now we work on multiplying and dividing. Now I will say this, I think this is a little easier to multiply and divide. But again, you got to be able to factor. You got to be able to do things right. Hopefully you can. All right, so here we go. So this first one, again, it just says the key here, factor each expression completely, then simplify by canceling out common factors. So this first one, we're just going to cross cancel. All right, so we're going to cross cancel the 9 into 27. 9 goes into 9 one time, goes into 27 3 times. We're going to cancel the 2 with the 16. 2 goes into 2 one time, goes into 16 8 times. Now, here's where it gets a little tricky with these monomial expressions, is that you've got to look at it in terms of how many do you have, and you can cross that many out. So here's what I'm saying, okay? You've got an x squared in the bottom here. Now, you make your choice. You can do it with any top you want, but you can only do one top at a time. So what I'm saying is I can do this x squared. I can take away 2 of the x's, either from this top or this top. Any top cancels with any bottom, all right? So it can be in the same fraction or it can be in another fraction. It just has to be a top with a bottom. So if I take 2 away, I'm going to take 2 away from x to the 4th. Well, x to the 4th has 4 of them. If we take 2 away from them, this is going to now be an x squared. We're going to do the same thing with the z's. There's 2 z's up here. I'm going to take 2 of them away from the z cubed to make it z to the 1st. And so what's left over here is nothing that's going to cross cancel anywhere. So now we just got to put the tops together. So you're going to have as the top 3x to the 6th. X to the 4th, x squared, I add those. Y to the 5th comes along. Put it over. Well, the only thing left in the bottom, and this is where you got to be really careful. There can be, kind of hiding things. There's a z still left here and an 8 here. So there's going to be 8z left over, and that's going to be the answer when I multiply those two crazy, crazy fractions. All right? Not easy. Not easy at all. Let's keep working. All right, so letter B, again, what we're going to do is we're going to factor every single part and then cancel out the common factors. Now, the way I like to do it is I like to do it right over the top of what I've got going on here. Here's what I'm saying. I'm going to go ahead and factor this top and make it x plus 1 times x minus 1. And I just scribble out the old top so that I don't get confused by it. The next top I can take out a 3. 3 times x minus 3. Okay, and I just kind of scribble it out. This bottom here, I can big X it. So I'm going to have negative 3 on top, negative 2 on the bottom. And that means that we're going to have negative 3 and 1 for the factors there. So this is x minus 3 times x plus 1. Again, I'm just going to scribble that one out. And then I can take an x out of this bottom, x times x minus 3. Now again, as we have with reducing before, all of it goes or none of it goes as a rule. So I can do all of x minus 3 with all of x minus 3. Any bottom and any top can cancel. All right? Any top and any bottom can cancel. So these x plus 1s are going to cancel out. And now the question is, what is left? Because I think I got all my possibilities. Okay, well, what's left is there's still this 3 and still this x minus 1. So 3 times x minus 1 on top is left over. And then what's left over on the bottom is x times x minus 3. Okay? Do you get it? Probably not yet. But you know how to factor. And so if you know how to factor and you understand how to reduce, it's really the same thing. All right? And there's going to be our answer there. Remember, you can't cross the x with an x because it's connected with subtraction here. Either all of this goes or none of it goes. All right, let's try letter C. So again, up here above, I'll factor it. I can take a y out of this top. So y times y plus 2. That's gone. Factored down. Okay, you can't factor 18y cubed. That's good as it is. 3y squared you can't factor. But you can factor this bottom. So big exit, negative 6 on top. Remember, you got to do 2 times negative 3 there. Then negative 1 on the bottom. Again, factoring them, and that's what I tried to tell you back in chapter 6. You got to be able to factor. It's going to keep coming up as a problem if you can't. And so this is going to be negative 3 and positive 2. Divide them both by 2y. And so this is going to be 2y minus 3 times y plus 1, because I can reduce those 2's to y plus 1. Okay, so now we look for common factors. Are there any common factors? Well, I can do 3 into 18. 3 goes into 3 one time, goes into 18 6 times. I got a y squared here. I can take 2 of those away from the y cubed, leaving you with y to the first. Now, I don't see any of the parentheses, the binomials, none of those match up, so we can't cross any of those out. I can't do a y with a y when it's connected with addition and subtraction, so I think we got it. Now, here's where you got to be careful. What's left? Look, there's a 6 and a y here, and a y there. 6y squared times y plus 2. Okay, again, 6y times y is where I got 6y squared. The y plus 2 just comes along. Over what's left on the bottom, 2y minus 3 times y plus 1. And there you go. You got it. Okay, again, not easy by any stretch, but definitely doable. Definitely doable. Now, division. Division's pretty easy. It's just like dividing any other fraction. So how do I divide? How do I divide? I'd multiply by the reciprocal of the second thing I'm dividing by. So I multiply by the reciprocal. So here's how I'm going to do the division. I'm going to factor as I go and flip as I go. So kind of multitasking here. So this one I'll write down below because I know I got to flip this second one over. So let's do this. Here we go. So I'm going to write this as a plus 5 times a minus 5 on the top. That's the difference of squares. Okay, the bottom is going to be a plus 2 times a minus 2. See, I'm not worried about flipping yet because I don't flip the first one. I flip the second one. Okay, so let's do that. So now what's on the bottom is going to come up on top. So I can take an a out of that, and this is a times a plus 2. Okay, taking out an a. Now I can big X this top here, and it'll now be the bottom. So negative 15 on top, 2 on the bottom. Let's see, I need, 5 and negative 3. So this is going to be a plus 5 times a minus 3. All right. Again, I move the top to the bottom to the top, because you multiply by the reciprocal. And now, anything from a bottom that matches up with a top can cross out. Anything from a top that matches with a bottom can cross out. And the only thing left over now, again, be careful because this a is kind of hiding there. It's going to be a times a minus 5 over a minus 2 times a minus 3. And that is going to be our answer. Nothing else crosses out. All right, now letter B. Crazy, crazy looking. You've got a fraction over a fraction. What you actually have here is 5a squared minus 20 divided by 2a plus 2 divided by this fraction. Again, it's this fraction divided by that fraction. So you're dividing by 10a minus 20 over 4a. So that's where you want to deal with these what are called complex fractions. All right? Is you want to divide by this bottom fraction. All right, so again, we got a factor. All right, now I see a common factor here. This one's going to be 5 times a squared minus 4. Okay, I could take out a 5. Now I'll factor it. It'll be 5 times a plus 2 times a minus 2. Again, I took out my 5 first and then did difference of squares. In the bottom, I can take out a 2. 2 times a plus 1. All right, so I did that. Now times, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal of my second fraction. So 4a is going to move up on top. It doesn't factor. This top moves down to bottom, but it does factor. I can take out a 10. 10 times a minus 2. And so now I've factored everything. Now I just got to cross out my common factors. So a minus 2 with a minus 2. Now 5 goes into 10 2 times. I could cross cancel this 2 into 4. It goes in there 2 times. But so does this 2 go into that 2. 2 times. So all that's gone. And so what's left over? Again, look carefully. Watch out. This little a is hiding. You got a times a plus 2 over what's left on the bottom, a plus 1. Okay? Now what I want you to do is I want you to stop the video. I'm going to give you time to work on the 3 questions that are at the top of the next page. I want you to try to do those 3 questions at the top. Give you some time to do it. Come back. There's a second video now that'll show you the correct work and answers for these. Okay, so try these, A, B, and C, and then come back and see if you got them right. Second video coming up with the right answers.